I think ACE is a recognition that we can learn from each other, and that this week in North Central Florida is designed so that what I like to say is people get to see a glimpse of the future, and by seeing a glimpse of the future, they get to understand and appreciate what the possibilities are, and they can take that information back to their own countries and use that to help drive their own competitiveness, because as they do well, the United States will do well. We'll be able to sell more, we'll be able to invest more. And I think that's a key feature. I think another part is the relationships they build, not just among themselves, but within the communities when they come here. So you've already seen that in South Florida, South Central Florida, at the University of Central Florida, and at the other locations we've gone to, where they've already gotten exposed to new people, they've gotten exposed to new ideas, they've gotten exposed to academics and other business people. And those are all opportunities to learn and to grow and eventually to do business.
Totally, and I see completely your point and the value of let's help these communities, because we will continue a strong commercial ties and partnerships. But also, if you think on the perspective of a community, like Florida right now that is receiving the program, what's the value added for this community?
Well, it's an opportunity for them to showcase themselves to a wide array of countries that they wouldn't otherwise get an opportunity to do. They can put their best foot forward. I think a lot of people, when you think of Florida, you think of Miami, you think of Orlando, you think of Disney. You don't think of the innovation, the cutting edge technology that they actually have going on here. I think it was fantastic to see the Lockheed Martin facility, for example. I mean, I doubt any of us were even aware it existed here. But as they said, it's a tremendous asset, and it involves employees. I forget what their numbers were, but it was tens of thousands of people within the local region. So that gives them a chance to demonstrate what they can do, and to get these folks from the other countries interested in doing business in South Central Florida. I wasn't aware that at this time there were more women than had been on the previous ones. I've always thought there were a fair number of women on all. But before I answer that, let me go back and just kind of talk a little bit more about some of the benefits for the United States out of ACE, because a clear benefit is what we're trying to do is grow jobs in the U.S. economy. So ACE, with these connections between the local governments, the local businesses, and the ACE representatives from around the hemisphere, and indeed from Israel and Germany, it gives us those businesses an opportunity to meet them and to do business, and hopefully, as a consequence, increase exports and increase jobs here in North Central Florida. But with respect to women, I think that was, as I said, I wasn't aware. I always thought there were a fair number of women on all the ACEs, but it's not entirely unsurprising that that's the way things have moved forward. I think we see more and more women who are much more active in senior levels in government throughout the Western Hemisphere, and in business and entrepreneurship. I know that, so for example, when we did the original U.S. Colombia FTA, what we've seen as a consequence, a lot of non-traditional companies have gotten involved. So while it might have been more skewed to one gender in trade in the past, there's now many more women involved, there's many more minorities involved, there's many more indigenous involved. So it's all about creating opportunities and for people as we move forward.
And this gives me an opportunity to raise another component of ACE that is just not including different sectors and different countries of the Americas, geographic balance. But we also include, besides women that are the leaders, entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are the ones that are carrying out SMEs development. So maybe can you talk a little bit about that? Like, we are including entrepreneurs as part of this program.
No, I think that's a vital part. I think we're all looking for the next, Bill Gates, or the next, the next future of the entrepreneur who's going to come along. So I think having them involved in this is the key to growing all of our economies as we go forward. I think it particularly, you mentioned small and medium sized companies. And I realize there's a little difference between what we define as an SME in the United States and what we may define as an SME in the rest of the region, because it's often a size difference. But the SMEs are a key component of all of our economies. If you look at the U.S. economy, 2 out of every 3 jobs are created by small and medium-sized enterprises. But it's true across the world, and that sometimes the figure's a little higher, sometimes it's a little lower, but they are key components of all of our economies.